Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and good evening from Pittsburgh. In our Puranas, there is a episode where Durga Devi is fighting against a Rakshasa called Rakta Bija. Rakta means blood, and Bija means seed, or in his case, a drop. And as Durga Devi was fighting this Rakshasa, every time a drop of his blood would hit the soil, another Rakta Bija would come out of that. And so as she would conquer this Rakta Bija, when his blood hit the ground, more Rakta Bijas came. And Durga Devi was confused about how to address such a Rakshasa, such a demon. So she envisioned a different form of her in the form of Kali Devi. And when Kali Devi came to this battlefront, she came with her tongue out. And she extended her tongue more and more so that it covered that whole battlefield. And so every time Durga Devi attacked Rakta Bija and his blood fell to the ground, it would fall onto her tongue. And she would take in that blood. And she did this to such an extent that she took in all of Rakta Bija's blood, and Durga Devi was able to defeat Rakta Bija. This is why when you see Durga Devi, she has that long tongue that is coming out of her mouth, and it's red because it's soaked in blood. Now that's at a Puranic level. When we take this to an Adhyatmic level, what Kali Devi shows is that Bhagwan will do anything for a bhakta. Will look in any way, will drink any substance, will become what is needed for that bhakta. And that's why sometimes we call her Kali Mata, like a sincere mother or parent, that they would do anything for their child. And what our Bhagavad Gita course is trying to teach us is that a bhakta should do anything for Bhagwan. They should become whatever Bhagwan needs them to become. That is a fulfillment of our Bhagavad Gita course. What Kali Mata does for us, we should do for her, or in this case, Bhagwan Krishna. Prince Arjuna, in chapter 5 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, is asking Bhagwan Krishna questions on how to act. And he's asking these questions because he cares. He wants to know. Today I spoke at PNC Bank on emotional intelligence, and there was time afterwards for questions, and people had questions which made me very happy that they were listening, that they care, they want refinement of what was shared. So Bhagavan is quite happy that Prince Arjuna is asking for more clarity. And he's asking, how should I go about living? And Bhagavan says, you should be a sannyasi. A sannyasi of what? A sannyasi of separation. You should renounce, you should let go of separation. Separation between what? Between the jiva and the jagat. You are part of creation. There is creation. You shouldn't feel separate from creation. And then even more so, you should not feel separate from Jagadishvara. That is the sannyasa that we can, we must, and we will follow if we're ready to do or be what Bhagavan needs us to be. How does this look? How does this sannyasa look? It begins by having less what? Raga and dvesha. Less likes and dislikes. If you change the language, it means less deservership. See, only like and dislike what comes to you. The prasad. But it's not really prasad if you have likes and dislikes towards it, correct? So less deservership. Which chapter focused on having less deservership? Chapter 4 did. See, this is being connected. In the language of our Shat Sampatti, that is the inner wealth. I keep trying to drive this to ourselves. Which of these 6 inner wealths shows having less likes and dislikes?
Dhamma.
Not Dhamma. I just spoke to our Pittsburgh group for an hour and a half about this yesterday. Uparama. And all of the people in the study group also. Uparama. Uparama means being responsible. If you're responsible, you don't complain. In other words, you don't have likes or dislikes. That's how sannyasa begins. And what is the fulfillment of sannyasa? Less doership. First you start with deservership, then doership. Going back to the language of our Shat Sampatti, our inner wealth, we need to have Shraddha. We need to have faith that may thy grace and blessings flow through us to the world around us. It's not my grace and blessings. There's another source that's flowing through me to the world around me. So Bhagavan, how should I act? Be a sannyasi. Less deservership, less doership. How many of you read the writings for this chapter? 5.4, 5.5, 5.6? Okay. If you haven't, there is amazing writing in section 5.4 about being Bhagavan Krishna's flute. And how Pujya Swami Tejamananda says, in a secular world when someone is playing the violin or playing the flute, everyone applauds the player, but they don't applaud the violin or the flute. We are to be Bhagavan Krishna's flute, in which Bhagavan Krishna will be praised. We should be happy just being close to him. And in Gopika Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis, they envy Bhagavan Krishna's flute because of that close contact. What a beautiful sentiment. What a beautiful bhava. And in a more relative level, if you think of our Guru Shishya Parampara, we organize large retreats and have large centers and so much work is happening. But that's only happening because of the presence of the Guru Shishya Parampara. If you remove that presence, that won't happen. The first sign of leadership is being present. The first sign of leadership is being present. And you see how Bhagavan is constantly coming to be with us in the form of the avatars. You see how our Guru Shishya Parampara is constantly being present for us. Them being present for us, this is all happening because of them, not because of us. And if you think carefully, do you think that Swami Chinmayananda enjoyed traveling? Was it easy? Do you think Mukhya Swamiji, Swami Srupananda, he travels because he's a tourist? That's the greatness of Chinmaya Mission, is that our Acharyas, our leaders, that they're constantly being present. And if it looks like they're enjoying it, it's because they've trained themselves to enjoy it. If it looks like it's easy, because they've made it look easy. But if we actually try, it may not be that enjoyable or easy. And I'm sharing all of this because it's not hard to have less doership when you have that faith. But without that faith, I'm Bhagavan Krishna, you are the flute. Bhagavan Krishna is a flute. Actually, I play him. We continue on to section 5.4 and 5.5. 5.5 is quite short. Karma Yoga is having the right attitude in the right actions. Right attitude in the right actions. Okay? Or engaging in the right actions with the right attitude. So what are the right actions? Do you remember the 4 types of karmas that we studied? What is the leftmost karma? Nisheda karma. This is on the right side is nitya. Nisheda is prohibited. Then more in the center, kamya karma, which is selfish actions. Prohibited and selfish. We move to our right. What comes? Naimittika, special responsibilities. And on the far right is regular responsibilities or nitya karma. So right actions, this is what we've studied already. Right action with the right attitude. What should our attitude be as we're engaged in our responsibilities? An attitude of arpana buddhi. All that we do, this is a offering. This is a dedication. And if we have arpana buddhi, then all that comes back is with prasada buddhi. So karma yoga is quite simple, and I think intellectually we all know it. And if we try, this will become a habit. This will become a vasana. So special and regular responsibilities treated as, this is my offering to Bhagavan. If this is done, what happens is we develop chitta shuddhi. And I've had many conversations with people. What comes first? Chitta shuddhi, which is purity of your software, mind, intellect, or jnana pramana, that authoritative knowledge, that understanding of knowledge. Which comes first? You can put it in the chat room if you will. Anyone? Chitta shuddhi? You sure it's not jnana pramana? Chitta shuddhi comes first. Many times people ask questions, and the answer is given, but are they ready for the answer? And so they ask one Acharya, and they didn't understand it, so they ask another Acharya. And they didn't understand, so they ask another Acharya, and they think, I don't think that Acharya knows the answer to this question. Chitta shuddhi. All that we do should be for chitta shuddhi. Then jnana becomes pramana. And if you're in any organization, if you're in the vicinity of any Acharya who's driving jnana pramana, then that person hasn't practiced. See, chitta shuddhi comes from practice. If you don't practice, there's not going to be chitta shuddhi. If I need to wash my hands, but I keep just thinking about Bath and Body Works soap, but I don't actually get up to put that soap on or that water, do my hands become clean? Practice. See what's being picked at right now? Shastravasana. Shastravasana? I know this, but I'm not going to do it. Chitta shuddhi is I know this and I'm going to do this. And the key to start to practice is to see someone who's practicing. Which I bring up again, the need for a Sadguru, someone who's living that life towards Sat. When we see them practicing, we have the inclination to practice. But if we don't see anyone practicing, we don't practice then. There is a lovely shloka in chapter 5. It is shloka 10. Shloka 8, 9, and 10 are such lovely shlokas in chapter 5, where Bhagavan Krishna describes someone who is practicing Chitta Shuddhi. They're engaged in less deservership, less doership. And he says such a person is like a lotus that is growing in, where does the lotus grow? In water, in dirt. Is a lotus ever watery or dirty? That's what's most inspiring, is that they're living in the same place we live. A lot of volatility. Water is volatile. In that water there could be dirt, but they're not volatile. They're not impure. And we see this constantly with Bhagavan. Isn't Bhagavan always living in the same place as we are? Bhagavan Rama, Bhagavan Krishna, our Guru Shishya Parampara. That's what I'm trying to share, is that we have to pay close attention to where they're living, how they're living. And the way that they do is they always feel they are the Karana, and Bhagavan is the Karta. Karana means instrument, Karta means doer. How does the Guru Shishya Parampara live? We are just instruments. Bhagavan is the doer. And even when Bhagavan comes, when Bhagavan Rama comes, who does he say is the doer? Bhagavan Rama is the Karana, Bhagavan Shiva is the Karta. In this, there's a way of weaning ourselves off of doership. Like someone who's addicted to heroin, you re-addict them to methadone. I'm saying it like I have experience with this or I know anything about this. But there's a weaning off of that habit, that negative habit. So in the same way, if I always think I'm the Karta, I'm the Karta, I'm the Karta, slowly I should feel I'm the Gauna Karta, which means I'm the secondary doer, but there's a Mukhya Karta, which is someone who's wiser than me, someone who's purer than me. For all of our Vedanta and Ramayana course students, do you remember what your reflection adventure of the months is? It is to remember WWW. What does WWW stand for? The World Wide Web, correct? That's what I asked you to remember. That's it. All day, just remember the World Wide Web. WWW is, what would the wise do? So when someone's flashing you from behind as you're driving, think, what would the wise do? The wise would get out of the way and say Hari Om as that person passes you, isn't it? What would the wise do? See, if you can remember that, then you remember that you are not the Karta, but Bhagavan is the Karta, I am the Karana. Then you don't worry, right? Bhagavan is the doer. Let him look after this responsibility. I don't mean you should just sleep then. Straight to tamas. You do your best, but you don't worry. As long as you're worrying, there's too much kartritva there. If you're stressed, kartritva. Anxiety, kartritva. See how deep this doership is. How much practice is needed. Bhagavan says, if you do not know that your nature is Brahman, if you do not know that you are illumination, you will believe you are the ahankara. You will identify with the ego, intellect, mind, breath, body, and then will always feel I'm moving, I'm breathing, I'm thinking, I'm deciding. Bhagavan, there's no space then. We must know that we are illumination and not identification. Everyone's with me? Okay. We move on to 5.6. What is karma based on? Karma is based on karta. If there's doership, that is karma. But if there's no doership, it's not karma then. And I remind you of the graph that we studied. If someone is an animal, then that means there is doership inside, but there's no action outside. That's someone who's more like a animal. There's a lot of karta inside, but no karma outside. Then if you take someone who's a human, they have the notion of doership inside and they're acting outside. So karta and karma. The first one we call inaction, the second one we call action, and the highest is to be God. And to be God, there is no karta inside. There is action outside. We call that unaction. Inaction, action, and unaction, all determined not by what's happening outside, but what's happening inside. When someone is God, they are the most dynamic, which is why I highlighted outside, there is movement. You see people like Acharya Shankara, Swami Vivekananda. These people were the most dynamic because there was no mind games that they were playing with themselves. I need to get this. People need to treat me like this. For us, how this looks, we have to increase our capacity for movement outside. We have to increase our capacity to affect change outside, but that's only possible if we give up karta inside. You play less mind games with yourself, you become a better public speaker, a better driver. That's what I mean by increasing our capacity to work. I've observed with people who retire, who don't have a plan for retirement, what happens is outwardly they stop acting. And so what happens to them? They age fast. They become like King Theoden in The Lord of the Rings. When that shady character is there, King Theoden ages very fast. And as soon as that shady character is dispelled, King Theoden comes back to life. The karta is like that shady character. As long as I feel I'm the doer, I become very old. But when you let that go, you become young again. See, when you're retired, you have to still work, but you just change direction. We feel like I'm retired, I should wake up when I want and sleep when I want. No! You have to keep working, giving up that kartritva. The fulfillment of all of this, one becomes mukta. One becomes liberated, enlightened, free. Someone who is mukta identifies with all. The person who loves him or her, the person who hates him or her, the person who doesn't know him or her, they identify with all, they empathize with all, which really means they live for all, they work for all. See, if I don't identify with you, then why do I have to work for you? But if I identify with you, your needs, I have to work towards also. Someone who's mukta, that person is all. Which is why we call such a person, or that person has, their sankalpa is satya. Whatever they think is at the level of sat, so it becomes real. That's what sankalpa, satya sankalpa means, is that their sankalpas are only about all. Sat means existence. And so whatever they think manifests, it becomes real. It is our bhagya to serve such a mukta. To do their upasana, we get to see what they see. Their sankalpa is satya. It is our fortune to be part of that. Now, how does this look for us? See, I try to give you that high philosophy and then a way to hold on to that high philosophy. When we interact with people, which is the most difficult part of living, especially family, our vision when we look at someone, and when I say look, as soon as I say vision, I mean not with our eyes, is to identify that they are Sat Chit, and naturally I'm Sat Chit too. So that identification becomes of oneness, no? So then when I'm working with such a person, if that person is negative, if that person is temperamental, if that person's not in sync with me, but that person is Sat Chit, I am Sat Chit. So we are one. If that's too difficult, I don't have such a vision yet, you come down to that person is part of creation, I am part of creation, so we're the same, part of the same srishti. We're part of the same team. You see some states who don't want to be part of the United States, some provinces that don't want to be part of Canada, some nations that don't want to be part of the EU. But if you're part of this, if you're a state in the United States, then you're all part of the same country. So if water is flowing in from Kerala, why shouldn't it be shared with Tamil Nadu? Why shouldn't that be shared with Andhra Pradesh? But that's not happening, right? And we try to solve these worldly problems with politics. How's that going? Do you watch Indian news? Indian news is like that which will give you a seizure, right? There's just so many lights and sounds, like you just can't handle it. So we're all Satchit, existence awareness, or we're all Srishti. And I'll give you one more S. I work hard to make these letters rhyme with each other and these acronyms and alliteration, okay? I hope you're appreciating the beauty of all of this. If you can't do Satchit, you can't do Srishti, we come down to Shakti. Shakti means you focus on another person's strengths rather than their weaknesses. And if you can do that, you identify with them more. The mukta is one who identifies, who empathizes with all. So how am I supposed to do that? Vision on existence, vision on creation, vision on strengths. With this, there's a lot of clarity that someone functionally is a particular name in a particular form, but fundamentally, they are you. You know what's fun about speaking to people who know a regional language you know? Then you can say secrets about other people who don't know that regional language, correct? Or suppose you're with your spouse or your child and you know something and you have like this secret communication where you just wink or you stare and they know, okay, we have to leave now. Or don't talk to that person or whatever it is, correct? So functionally, it looks like you're not communicating, but fundamentally, yeah, we got it. And if they get it, it's so fun when that communication takes place. We should do that with everyone. That functionally, I know that, you look like that or you live over there. But fundamentally, we're the same. So we're slowly wrapping up chapter 5. We have one more class on chapter 5. And I want us to be clear about what we've studied in chapter 5 so far. Because I'm taking this up in 3 weeks and not 5 weeks. The beginning of chapter 5 is saying we should train ourselves to be selfless. Key point is you have to train yourself. In the middle of chapter 5, which we're around right now, if you don't train yourself, if you don't practice being selfless, we will keep on being selfish. Selfish means I'm the deserver, I'm the doer. If you can practice selflessness and you can let go of selfishness, we become perfect. Perfection is felt by balance. The word guru means heavy, solid, inside. Some gurus are only heavy outside. The real guru is heavy inside. That's who you become. And today when I was speaking to all of the people on emotional intelligence, I shared, you can only give what you have, correct? If you're happy, you can give happiness. But if you don't have happiness, you cannot give happiness. Only when you're balanced can you give balance. So you see at what a deep level you can start to serve people. So the perfect person is balanced. The perfect person balances. We will complete chapter 5 with some more refinements, some more clarity on all of this, so that when we get to chapter 6, there's just no doership. We only have to go through nididhyasana to just be. No more shravanam, no more mananam, just nididhyasana. We're all there, correct? I'm giving us the whole summer to get ready for that. Oh. Narayana.